Hi friends, today we are going to be talking about transformation. So this is something that involves shapes and it's usually on a grid with an X and Y axis so that you can figure out how much it's moving. So the term transformations is a general term for these three: rotation, reflection, and translation. So rotation is just as you would think. It rotates, and where it rotates from is this center of origin right there in the middle. So the 0, 0 right there in the middle. So imagine if you had a nail nailed in that 0, 0 spot and a string that attached this shape. All right, you could take that shape, and because it's anchored here in the middle, it can rotate all the way around, just like a clock. So going this way, obviously, is clockwise, and if it goes this way, it is counterclockwise. So just like a clock with, an analog clock with hands. Okay, then there's reflection. And you can think of this as a mirror. So it is a mirror reflection of the image. So these things that start, the images that start, we call that the pre-image. Okay, so the start of the image before it is translated, that is your pre-image. All right, when it gets to where it's going, that is called the image. Okay, so in a reflection, it's just like a mirror. So if we had this originally and it goes and reflects over here, it has reflected over that center line of reflection. So it's almost like you could take a piece of paper and fold it in half, and that middle line where the reflection is, that's called the center of reflection. And then translation, that's not flipping or turning, that's sliding. Okay, so we see we have this image here, and it just slides upwards. So it starts down below with that pre-image, and then it translates, or just slides, the whole thing just slides up. So let's look at translation first. So if we started here with this pre-image, so this right here is our pre-image. And what it's done is it has translated to down here. All of the points have translated to make a new place for this shape to be. So this starts with the pre-image, and we end with the image. So how do we figure out how many spots or how many points that this translation has made? Well, I would take one of your points. So I'm going to start with A, and I'm going to see how I get to this A. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm down 4, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and to the right 6. All right, so now let's check that with the other points, because every other point should be the exact same. So let's look at C. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is down 4, and then to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then to the right 6. So I know that those are the same. So let's just go ahead and check and make sure that B is the same. So there's B. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this was translated down 4 and to the right 6. Okay, we can tell because of the quadrants. We know that this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So it went from quadrant 2 down to quadrant 4. All right, let's look at rotation. So we know that it rotates from the center, rotation about the origin. So it always starts right there in the middle. It starts at 0, 0. That is where the nail is nailed, if I can put it that way. So it's almost like you have this nail, so pretend that's a nail, and you have this string, okay? And that string can rotate, okay, just like a clock. Remember, going this way is clockwise. And going this way, the opposite, is counterclockwise. All right, so when it says from that center of origin, you can just go ahead and say, well, this was my pre-image, and I drilled the hole there at the center of the origin, and it told me to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, so here's this, and we're going to move it clockwise 90 degrees. How do we know it's 90 degrees? Well, if you see, oh, that's not the color I wanted. If you see these lines, so this line to this side of the shape, and this line to this side of the image, so we have our pre-image and our image, we can tell that this is 90 degrees. Okay, so it went from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1 with that 90 degree move. All right, if we look at this one here, how many degrees did this one move? Well, we started at this origin with our pre-image, and here would be 90 degrees, and this looks like another 90 degrees. So I would say that it rotated, because it's going this way, clockwise, 180 degrees. Because remember, this is 90. So you can move those in increments of 90. All right, last one. Let's look at our pre-image, and then this is our image. So the pre is what we started with, and the image is what we ended with. Okay, so we have our center of origin, and it went this way, which is clockwise. And I'm going to draw out my degrees here. So each of these is 90 degrees. So it went 90, 180, 270. So this went clockwise 270 degrees. So for rotations, you need to know what your 90 degrees is. So each of these are 90 degrees. And you also need to know your clockwise. So either clockwise or going in the opposite direction, and that's counterclockwise. Okay, and also the last thing is knowing that that center is your center of origin, and that's where you typically start. So at 0, 0, that's where that nail is driven in, and it's going to stay there, and it's going to rotate on that from that point. All right, and then the last one is reflection. So just like that mirror image, that mirror. Okay, so this is, in this case, that line is called the line of reflection. So this is reflected over the y-axis. Okay, now what you want to look for here is the points and how it changes. So we see that we have ABC, and then the image, second image ABC. So this is our pre-image. And this, where it ends up, is our image. Okay, so I'm going to just mark all the points. So all of these points. So A is 1, 1. B is 5, 1. And C is 4, 4. Okay, then I'm going to go do the same for our image. So A is -1, 1. Our image B is -5, 1. And C is -4, 4. Okay, so if we compare the two, so 1, 1, -1, 1. 5, 1, -5, 1. 4, 4, -4, 4. Okay, so what I can say is that the X in all of the points A, B, and C, the X turned negative. Okay, and it went from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2.